stuck out to, I can't remember who I was talking to, but they said winning is contagious with Desmond. When you hear that, what does that kind of make you think?
Yeah, that makes me think that, whatever I'm doing, I want to win it. And that's just who I've been ever since I was a little kid to now. It doesn't matter. I want to win. And that's what I not only try to, feed onto everyone else and everyone on the team, but try to instill that in them too, that just go out there and be a winner. Like I said, if there's one person on this team that don't think that they're the best person when they step on this field, then we're at a disadvantage already. So let's get the guys that think, we're always the best. Like, let's go be the best because we put in the work to be the best, and then go prove it.
Did y'all just hear that? Desmond Ridder. I'm going to tell y'all something. Desmond Ridder starting to really grow on me, and just hearing this guy talk shows that this leadership is there. And he might get this team to buy into him being that week one starter once we get into going into the OTAs and training camp. Because this is something I don't think Marcus Mariota, or I have not seen, really possesses. And he says this is something that he has to really work on, that vocal side leadership capability. Oh man, we got something to talk about today, and I want to do it in talking about Arthur Smith and wondering if his identity is finally going to showcase itself this year in 2022. But before we get to doing that, man, hey, if you have not subscribed to this channel and you just happen to come across here and looking at this video, please do so if you like what you're hearing. Also, continue to share, like, comment, all those beautiful things that we love, because those things, getting a lot of views and sending it out and sharing it to other people that love the Atlanta Falcons, helps us to continue to grow and hopefully reach that 5,000 subscribers by the time the season starts. We're going to have probably a little bit over 150 more subscribers that we will need to finally hit our 5,000 subscriber goal. So please feel free to do that. We want to talk about Arthur Smith. A lot of people, if you've seen or read the article from SI with Arthur Smith interviewing, he seems to have made a tradition out of that. This is his second year doing it, and he always has some interesting comments about the team after the NFL draft. And I'm going to talk about that today. But Desmond Ridder, man, I almost had to do a double take because he sounds just like his head coach right now. He is already embodying what his head coach wants in a quarterback, in the type of mentality that he wants. I want to read that again, what Desmond Ridder said at the beginning before all the things got started with this show. Hey, Toby D, by the way, pound for pound ATL. So let's get into it. Sorry I didn't say that at the beginning, but I'm just so hyped right now because this has me excited. Here's what he said. If there is one person on this team that don't think they're the best person on the field, then we're already at a disadvantage. Man, I love to hear stuff like that, because you're definitely going to need that this year with the type of schedule that you're going to have. That schedule you had last year, it was pretty easy schedule, but you still didn't quite have the roster to take advantage of it. But getting 7 wins out of that was impressive. Ladies and gentlemen, do not get me wrong about that. But there is still more work that had to be done. And Arthur Smith definitely believes that they have some better personnel than they had last year going into this second season. And if you guys didn't think that they were using all the things that they've been hearing from the fan base, the media, as fuel for the fire for them, bulletin board material, if you will, then you are mistakenly wrong, because this is something that was mentioned in the SI article that was done. And I believe Albert Breer usually is the guy that heads up those interviews after the draft comes and talks to Arthur Smith. I want to read something that a fan said, because it goes in line with exactly what I'm talking about the bulletin board material. And I don't know if he read that article at the time when he came out with his tweet not too long ago. But if he did, it's great. If he did not, it's even greater, because he was right on point with this. Mason the Gemini 93. Here's what he had to say in his tweet. I'm not going to lie. Arthur Smith got all the bulletin board material in the world to feed that chip on shoulder narrative to the team, because the disrespect is at an all-time high. And look, guys, a lot of questions are valid for the Atlanta Falcons. And nobody should get that twisted. There were some things that should have been done last year that was not done. One of them, Arthur Smith has admitted to and accepted full responsibility. Look, if you're going to preach accountability, you have to look at yourself in the mirror also and accept accountability for the things and the mistakes that you made. And one of them was sitting guys when they should have played. And this year is not a year that you're going to be able to do that, because you're going to have a lot of competition across the board. There's a lot of questions about guys who are going to fill starting roles, more so this year than it was last year. At least probably 75% of the roster is uncertain right now with who is going to hold down starting spots going into the 2022 season. But when Mason the Gemini said this, it was right on point. And it was one quote in that SI article that said, don't fire up the film on C.J.Stroud and Bryce and Young just yet. And look, this team is not coming in here listening to what the fan base is saying right now. You heard Casey Hayward say it, Demir Bird say it. All these guys believe that they can come in here, and they're coming in to compete, to win. They're not coming in here to tank and help the Atlanta Falcons fan base get a top 5 or earn a top 5 pick for one of these top guys coming out in the draft. You heard it last year when people were mad because we didn't take Justin Fields. We passed on him, let the Chicago Bears jump up and take him, I believe, at the 11th spot, because he wasn't someone that apparently Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith felt strong about bringing into their organization and could help this team win. They waited until this year, went out to Desmond Ridder, who I can see straight up wholeheartedly already embodies what Arthur Smith wants for his team. And you're starting to see with clear identity what he wants to match the personality that he wants to bring to the Atlanta Falcons on the offensive side of the ball. Especially, he wants that physical, tough, bully presence on the field. And you can see it with guys he drafted in Drake London. You can see it in guys that he got on that team with Tyler Algier that he drafted from BYU, the running back, who's a nice, tough, strong, physical running back. You can see that with guys that he already had, like Kyle Pitts, who also embodies that physical presence. And we just made a trade for Brian Edwards, the wide receiver out of the Las Vegas Raiders. And you know what they say, this is a guy going into his 3rd year, and that's usually when the light truly turns on. And the potential that he brings to the team at 6'3", about 215, only 23 years old, ladies and gentlemen, a former 3rd round pick that has now come to the Atlanta Falcons, and all we gave up was a 5th round pick and earned a 7th round pick for him, which we probably would trade off, because the last 2 seasons we have not gone to the 7th round. Many of us know that. So this is going to be very interesting. This guy brings a physical nature that Arthur Smith wants to showcase. Big body dude, a guy that, hey, Arthur Smith, we all know, is no unknown secret that he loves his big body wide receivers. We saw that over there in Tennessee with A.J. Brown and Corey Davis, and now we're seeing that show itself right here. Although he tried to evade that, answering that question, because he didn't want to show any discrimination against guys that aren't 6'3" right now and 215, 220 on the team, like guys Alden Tate. We got Demir Bird. He's nowhere close to that. We got Olamide Zaccheaus. Those 2 guys are shown and should be showcased as your speedsters down the field. But we're seeing that physical presence that Arthur Smith wants to show. Look, Arthur Smith said, we're not going to make no damn excuses. Excuse my French. But he is showing that he wants to have that team that looks like him. That's a positive ID of what he wants to be. Now, let's just hope that that identity shows. And this is one of the things I tweeted out, that I want to see that identity of physicality show this year. And if you show that physicality in practice, it is going to rub off on Dean Pease defense. And they're also going to come out there embodying what Dean Pease wants to showcase, that nastiness, that toughness. We're not taking no stuff off anybody on the front lines. And that is what I'm hoping to see. Now, there's still concerns about this offensive line, because all the skill positions, you have that tough quality right now. You have some more Cordero Pattersons that have that potential to be what Cordero became for the Atlanta Falcons last year. And they are real hype right now. This coaching staff has a lot of confidence because, let's face it, guys, what they have on this team right now is a bunch of potentials. And what I mean by that, Lorenzo Carter has been a steady 4 or 5 sack guy since he's been drafted by the New York Giants when he was drafted in the 3rd round. But can he be a guy that you possibly got and feel like you can develop into a possible 7 to 10 sack guy, 6'5", 250 something plus pounds? Can he be that guy? The same thing with the guy that you just brought over here in Bryan Edwards. Can he be a guy with the potential to have a 1,000-yard season and possibly 7 to 10 touchdowns? He definitely looks like he could be that guy, but can that coaching staff get that Cordero Patterson out of him that they desire to have? Because all these potentials right now, if you can get them to top talent level playing style, you possibly have a chance to be able to hang with this tough schedule that you got coming right now. Now, something I didn't even know, the Falcons are playing about 11 games against teams that did not make the playoffs. Now, there were a couple of teams that had 9-8 records, like, for example, week 1, we're starting off against the New Orleans Saints that went 9-8, beat us in the last game of the season, but missed the playoffs because they couldn't get the help they needed to get in. Los Angeles Chargers, led by Justin Herbert, and boy, they have done a lot over there to really build that defense up. When you say, I mean, Khalil Mack had him over there. You went out and paid top dollar for one of the top free agent corners coming off the market over there from New England Patriots. You brought him over there. I mean, and they just continue to build this team. So they're going all in. We're going to have to face them this year. But last year, they did not make the playoffs, even though they had finished with a winning record at 9-8. We do have to face them. The Falcons may have a chance, but they have to first get that potential to shine for these guys like Lorenzo Carter to be able to do his thing, Bryan Edwards to be able to do his thing, Drake London, whom you just drafted with the 8th overall pick. You need his talents to translate into the NFL. Marcus Mariota, here is your shot. Can the Falcons, and I've asked this question before on the video, can the Atlanta Falcons get his potential to really shine through and to show why he was the 2nd overall pick and to continue that storyline that is going to develop should he make it to the week 1 as the starter against Jameis Winston, who was the 1st overall pick over him and now playing for the New Orleans Saints in 2015. This is a wonderful storyline to develop, but somebody, this one guy could disrupt that, and his name is Desmond Ridder. And right now he has a chip on his shoulder, and he could come in here with the leadership qualities if he can get better at his inaccuracies right on the field, get better with those out throws, because those are some things I saw that he struggled with in the quick screens, because those are things we like to do in this offense. If he can improve there and really get this playbook down, ladies and gentlemen, this is a guy, if you get the mechanics right, that footwork, technique, and all of those things, that could very well become the Russell Wilson story of the Atlanta Falcons and overtake Marcus Mariota. But right now, Marcus is the guy going in, and we shall see how that unfolds. I want to read something else about Desmond Ridder because, man, like I said, I had to do a double take to see if this guy was Arthur Smith speaking, because he sounds just like what Arthur Smith wants. Here's a guy who says, I want to win every game. And you're starting to hear that theme with everyone that has been drafted by the Atlanta Falcons in 2022. They have done a great job at getting guys that fit the Arthur Smith philosophy and what he wants to showcase. Number one, he says, thinking that a team is better than you, you're not given to go out there and be the best. I try to get in the mindset that every time I step on the field, I'm going to be the best player on the field. And you heard him at the beginning of that video that I just put out before this one started, that if there's one player that don't think that they are the best on the field, then we're already at a disadvantage. And you best believe they're using everything that they're hearing out there about this roster is not good enough to compete still this year, despite the moves that they were made. Although it's slightly better than what they had last year, fans still don't believe that. Or they don't believe that Desmond Ridder is that guy. They don't believe that Marcus Mariota is that guy and is going to be able to re-spark his career like Arthur Smith was able to do with Ryan Tannehill, who also was a former first-round pick. They're not in belief of that. Look, I'll be honest and tell you myself, I have some doubts about Marcus because he did get benched. Now, some of the schematical changes that are going to be made could benefit him heavily, and we saw an example of that last year when he had to come in and fill in for Derek Carr the game against the Los Angeles Chargers, where he balled out with the zone reads, the RPOs, and just having that nice touch on the football. These are things that Desmond Ridder is going to have to work on if he wants a job and take that job from Marcus Mariota. But I do still have my doubts and reservations based on that. Can he become a Cordell Patterson of this team and turn his career around, or is Desmond Ridder going to outshine him? Right now, Desmond Ridder is on his way to doing exactly that. You listen to any of his pressers right now, and he already has my attention. And JR knows as well as I do, he was not exactly a fan favorite for me because I didn't see him as that guy. Carolina actually has my guy, Matt Corral, that they drafted also in the 3rd round. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two guys develop being on their respective teams, with one guy being further down south, you know, and the other guy being right here in Atlanta. I'm very curious to see, but Desmond Ridder is definitely talking the right game and sounds like his coach. How many pieces do the Atlanta Falcons have that will embody what Arthur Smith wants? Because if you're going to use the fan base as bulletin board material, it better work, because you're definitely going to need it, especially that first game. You cannot go in here and not be able to showcase the identity that you want, physicality, toughness, smart football playing, game situational type team, and you fall on your face against the New Orleans Saints, who, let's face it, Sean Payton has always been good of getting and coaching that bully out of any New Orleans Saints team he had. They even went as far as the Bounty Gate. Now, I'm not saying that the Atlanta Falcons have to go there, but Arthur Smith, you got to get this team to be able to come out here and showcase what you want them to be, because the fan base will be watching. Let me just tell you, there's a fan base right now, part of the fan base that has already checked out until 2023, when you're supposed to have a higher cap number. And since you've heard everything else, you're not ignoring that, and the team is definitely talking about everything else, then I'm guessing you should know that there's fans that's not wanting to come to the games until you get better in 2023 and possibly get a quarterback that they desire out of the 2023 draft. Of course, you're saying that's not what you guys are trying to do. You're trying to win. It's insane for any coach to come out on the field that doesn't believe they can win. Then you best to have that bulletin board material, getting the high intensity out of these guys in practices so that the fan base can see, hey, if you become more than the 5-12 team that I predict you to be, yes, I said it, I don't believe the Falcons will win more than 5 games, no matter how competitive they are, then, hey, I would be happy to be one of the first guys to come on here and eat crow and admit that I was wrong, that this team was much better than I believe they would be. And that's not going to, 7 wins is not going to do it for me. You got to at least get 9-8. And there are fans out there that believe that the Falcons can win 9 games this year. And what I just mentioned about the comment about 11 games of teams that didn't make the playoffs that we're going to have to face, we do have a chance. But there are some rosters, even though some of them didn't make the playoffs, that do still look better than the Atlanta Falcons. But if you can get these potential guys to show up and get some solid results from these guys, yes, you just might have something. But look, that's all I got. Do you guys believe that the Falcons are capable of winning more games than 7 this year with the schedule that you notice out there? Or do you believe what I believe, 5 games or less? Right now, I think that's the Las Vegas bet right now, is 5.5 wins for the 2022 seasons. Or do you believe that you're a fan that's going to come to the games despite hearing what we're hearing about the excitement of 2023? Or you checked out until that time comes? Let me know all of that below. Please continue to comment, subscribe, like, share, all those great things. Of course, you can follow JR on Grim1128. That's GRIMM1128. You can also follow me at Toby D1991. Other than that, hey, pound for pound ATL, I'm Toby D. Peace. I'm out.